Welcome to another Rootless Conversation. I'm your host, Greta Bayrami, and today I have the pleasure of being here in New York City with Fadil Berisha. Fadil, thank you so much for making some time in your busy schedule for us. I'm super excited for anybody that's listening, including myself, to hear a little bit of your story. Thank you.
And thank you for coming.
Where are your roots from?
My roots are from Albania. My family escaped Albania during the communism in 1953. They left, not willingly, but they left because of the communism part, and they into Kosovo. And I was born there in transition. We were immigrants, Albanian immigrants in Kosovo, until 1968 or 67, where Tito that year decided to get rid of all the Albanians, most Albanians. He saw the situation in Kosovo being more Albanians than Serbs. So he gave us a one-way ticket anywhere in the world to get and not to come back. So my dad took the ticket to US, luckily for me and for all of us. And we moved here in 1968. We lived in Italy for 1 year, which we had to go through all this health and exams and stuff. And we came in here. So it's been since then.
And going back to your early self growing up, is there any memory that comes to mind? What was those years like before you came to the United States?
I guess I was 5, 6 years old in Kosovo, and I remember watching all the airplanes go by all the time, like, oh, I'm going to be in that plane. I want to go somewhere as far as I could possibly go. And just dreaming that. And it's such a funny story because I always wanted to fly, and then we end up coming out, I guess at that age, coming back to the States and growing up, and I always wanted to travel and see the world. I want something different. I tried to be a flight attendant, so just to travel, you know. Luckily that didn't happen, but with my job, I fly more than a flight attendant. So then, now I hate traveling. On top of that, but there was that dream all the time. And coming to the States, we lived in the Bronx for about 6 months. My dad saw the situation there. It's like, I can't raise my family here. It's just we're not used to that kind of a life. It was so crowded and the way we lived. And so he moved us to New Jersey. And we were the only foreigners in Jersey at that time. There were 3 in my school. There were just 3 foreigners. There was a Chinese, a Polish, and an Albanian. And they had no special ed classes. So we were like deaf and mute being there until we learned the hard way, which it was very hard, actually, being bullied and going through all that until we learned the language and went through those hard times.
How does one go through those hard times? What was those early days of being an immigrant in an environment that you were the very few? You were the first immigrant communities.
It was really strange because at that time they still had, not segregation, but they had separate, even the blacks from the side of the tracks, and they had the whites. And so I guess, our family looked normal, like white looking. So they sold the home in a nice white section in Jersey, not seeing my mom come with a scarf, my father with a hat later on. So they stopped talking to us, And I remember being really hurt, like, why are they not talking to us now? Because they just didn't see us close to them. We looked very different. We looked normal as kids and all, but then the parents came, they were, okay, we can't relate to them. And so I was always a bit hurt and angry at the discrimination. They kept making fun and saying things, and I was a young kid then, and I was angry. I looked at my mother, she was beautiful. She had the scarf, but she had green eyes, light hair. My sisters were beautiful, my brothers, so I was like, why discriminate? I said, someday I'm going to grow up. I'm going to make all the Albanians beautiful. I always said that as a child, and I had this vision in my mind all those years. I guess you just say it, but you don't realize you're saying it. And sure enough, going through all the hard times and started working at age 13, 14, washing dishes and working in the kitchen and graduating from the kitchen to the front as a busboy and a waiter and then a bartender and just working to make a living. And, of course, I started making some money, dressing better and looking better, and started gaining more respect and speaking the language. And sure enough, I wanted to go to art school. My father was very religious. He was a great man, but he was religious. He just felt like, as every parent, they don't want you to go into arts because it's suffering for them. They see artists always suffer until they make it. And they said, no, don't do this. Get married, have children, and that's it. I said, well, look, I can't. I want something more. Why can't I do something more? I'm watching all these other people in this country. Look at them. And he's Mexican. He made it. This one made it. Why can't I try to do something? And my father said, no. I said, well, get married. We got married. Have children. And it was just like always craving that art, that I want to do something different than my dad. Finally, one day I said, I'm sorry, I have to disrespect you. I love you, but I have to go to art school. And I went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. And there I didn't know what I wanted, but I just wanted art. And I started in fashion buying, merchandising. I started showroom sales. I kept changing my courses every other day and every other month. One day I met a photographer, met a designer in school that I did look cute one time. I did have a body. At age 20, met me in the hallway and said, can you model for me? I said, no. I said, I'm a model. He goes, no, your body's perfect, Can you just come and really, for us to graduate, we need student models so they can spend the whole year with us to make all the clothes for their bodies. And then we have this big show at the end of the year where we present the collection to designers, Calvin Klein, big names, and we get hired that way. And I said, no. And he convinced me, but come try the clothes on. He goes, they fit perfect, please. Just go and audition in the auditorium because you have to belong to the modeling workshop. No, and I was so nervous. I remember going on that stage and I said, what I have to do is you have to just walk and the judges will then let you know. I was very nervous when I walked in there. And I went back and thought, now I really I hope I made it. I said, because now I made a fool out of myself. I'm on this stage. What was I thinking? The guy told me, you'll get it for sure, and I went back and I said, I didn't go to this. They said, on Wednesday, go to B701. I remember this whole detail to the room. If your name is on a list, congratulations, you made it. You'll be the school model for the whole year, blah, blah, blah. And I was afraid to go because rejection.
Right.
I didn't go for like a week and a half. And I finally snuck, nobody could see me. I said, let me see. My name was third on the list. I said, oh, then it gave me this boost of confidence. I started working for this designer at the end of the year. A photographer, it was a big show called the Cody Awards, 1982. And some photographer did some pictures of me on stage and called me, you want to test for free? I liked photographs. And she did those photographs of me. When I got the pictures, I was like, oh, no, I'm not so bad. There's something there. It wasn't about you becoming a model. It was about giving me confidence to think higher of myself, to think of values. Okay, maybe I belong with these people. I'm not what I think. And it gave me that energy, and I started. I was like, what's going on, But it gave me energy to go and design. So I became friends with the photographer, and every day I was like, I love being around her, but I didn't know why. Mm. I would just like to be with her, became very good friends. There was a reason that I just became friends with her. I liked watching her work, and I couldn't wait to get there. And one day she said, Fadil, why don't we, Italy is a place to get discovered. As a model, as a photographer, as a designer, as a music, whatever. So we didn't have much money. She said, why don't we go together? We can share a room. She was older than me. She said, we can share a room and we can get discovered there. And you as a model, as a stylist, I was designing menswear clothing. And you can make some kind of a connection there and I can do my photography. So we went there. After a few months, I saw that I was working, but not that much. She was working a lot. She became more famous. I said, you know what? This job as a model is not for me. I need consistency. I need something in my life. I can't just wait if I get a job and not get a job the next day. So I was getting frustrated. So she owed me a photo shoot for my portfolio. And I styled these two twin brothers. I styled this, all night I spent styling this great styling shoot. She went and, went out with someone and fell in love with this young man. And her mind was there and not on the photo shoot. And she was just, you could see it. I'm behind her. So every time the model turned to one angle, she clicked too late. I kept going, the whole time behind her. She missed this one, that one. She goes, we're done. I said, we're done. I said, she didn't get any photos of my book. Gosh, she wasted my whole day. I said, with this guy, I said, I wish I had a camera taking the pictures of myself. And the light went on. And I said, wait a minute. Could I be a photographer? Is this what I'm searching for? I don't know. I said, I love people. I love to make people happy. I love to make people beautiful. I love beauty. I love portraits. And I'm like, and I'm bored. I get bored so easily. This job is never boring. It's every day is a different person. It's not so bad. I said, but I wonder if I have the eye. I don't know if I never looked in the camera because I respected her as a photographer and I kept my space and the light went on. I said, I wonder if this is it. And I went back to her. I said, can I borrow the camera? And she said, yes. I took the models. I learned a lot of things from her. And I had directed him. I said, move your chin forward, bite your jaw, squint your forehead. And I went, and everything lit up. I said, I can make this guy look good. I can make money for this person. And the sky opened up. I said, I've been searching. This is what I want to do. It's photography. It was meant for me to come away from my family, not get distracted by them, and have my own peace to find myself and to find out what I want to do in life. And I found it. So once I knew that, I said, I'm going to get this now. Nobody's going to stop me.
How old were you?
About 22.
So 22 years old, you're in Italy.
Yeah.
A shoot that doesn't go the way you like it, and you take over the camera, and you realize in that moment that this is what I'm supposed to do.
And I have so many students, so many interns because of that. And I bring them all here. And majority of in our country, not just around the world, even with Miss Universe, I trained every photographer because I was that kid. And when that liberation that I found, I tried to find it for them now. And I have them come in here, spend time with us, and let them look the makeup, the hair, the style and design, where they find themselves, where do they feel the power. So I do that all the time.
I want to go back to your father for a minute. What's happening there to those listening that are faced with similar situations where they don't want to disappoint their family? What was it like in those moments? Was your father still approving of you going to Italy and shooting? And what was his emotions through this?
No, he didn't approve anything. And he said to me, you're doing something against our religion. You're doing something against me. He put that pain into me. He said, I just want you to know that from this day on, we will never talk about this again. Just know what you're doing. So he put that guilt into my soul. And I said to him, I love you. I respect you. But I want to do something different. And I'm sorry I have to disrespect you. I'm going to go and follow this career. And we never talked about it. I went through really hard times because then they would not help me. The family would not help me because that's it. They figured if they help me, it would be bad because they wanted to talk me out of it. And he was such a great person, religious in his own right, but very great person that he got sick. Luckily, Albania opened up. We took him back to Albania to see Albania after one more time. Yeah. He had a brain tumor, and we took him in a wheelchair, and he got there. He saw his sister. He saw the country. We brought him back, did the surgery, and he lived 3 more years, and we took him back when he was clear to see Albania and to bring his sister here and his family, to reconnect with everything he missed for 55 years. So and I went through a really bad time where I lost my apartment because I was paying for film. The expenses were so high then. You have to buy the film, you have to process it, you have to print it. It's 3 expenses. So we're now with the young people, the digital, it's easier. You shoot, you erase it, you don't lose anything. The clients would not pay you wait 6 months to get paid. So we need to put the expense out. I was paying for film, not my rent. I got evicted. And
how old were you when you got evicted?
I had a child, and I must have been at least 28, 20, somewhere around there. And it was the lowest point of my life to move back home where I left once, but alone, to move back with my wife and the kid, and in that same room that I grew up, and I went to depression.
So you went back to your home?
I had to go back home, waiting for every moment to cry.
And what did you feel in that moment about everything that
the biggest failure of my life that I said, how could I do this to my family? How could I do this to my wife? Why did I pay for that film and not the rent? And you go through, maybe they were right. They told me I'm never going to make it. My father said, we're Albanian, nobody's going to give it to us. Don't even kid yourself. How can you think higher? We are just lower. And it was, no one's going to, and I refused to accept that. Thank God that I did. And then one day I felt a stranger in my own home because my brother was living there with my mom and my dad and his family. So I was quiet. I surrendered to what they wanted me to be. I guess I was waiting for them to tell me, we told you so. They would never tell me that, but then they felt bad for my pain. My mother said, don't do this. This is what family's for. We have for these moments. And I was just holding angry at myself. And then one day, my nephew, I changed the channel on TV, and he said, don't change the channel. This is our home. And I slapped him. And then my brother came and said, don't ever touch my son again. And I just burst into tears and cried and cried. And it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with myself. And I said, how can you say that to me? He would have killed my son. I would never told him that. My mother goes, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. I needed somebody to tell me so I can cry and let it out. And cried for a long time. And then basically my sister took me for a walk. She was like, don't be like this. It's nothing, But it was really just the need to let it out. About 2-3 months later, I said, let me get a job. The Albanians were laughing at me, saying, El Artisti. Here's an artist. He's going to be an artist. They're all making fun of me. And so I decided to block them.
How did that feel when your own people?
Well, I loved them so much, but as we were a primitive family as well, very primitive. And I worked in the pizza restaurant. I washed dishes. I did all those things. And I never looked down at that. But it was making those comments and why is he dressing this way? And they would make, he's ad artist. Here comes the artist. He's going to be an artist. Who is he kidding? So I go to the American people. They call me genius and they pay me. I go to the Albanians and I feel bad. I put my head down and I always loved them, but they didn't accept me. So I was like, including my own family, my brothers, like, what the hell do you think you're doing? What do you think this bullshit is, And it was constant. And I kept going. They were always in my heart. But when I blocked them, I said, I need to block them. I took a job so nobody can see me, to work at the Waldorf Astoria, serve all the tourists at this hotel, leave my house at 4 a.m, take the bus to go into the city, serve breakfast, get back home by 3 so I don't see any people. Just myself, anger with myself, the failure, and focus to take care of my family, to get a bigger apartment, to take care of my family. And sure enough, I made money, and then I got a 3-bedroom apartment, and I got comfortable financially, and I said, God damn it, I suffered so much to let it go now. Mm-hmm. I got to pick up the camera again. Picked it up, and everything opened up.
What was that first? What
it was 90. I think it was about the 90, right before my dad passed away. I started getting billboards.
Who was the first person that gave you a shot as you were coming back to it?
I started, first of all, shooting all the kids and our family, whatever, and friends. And then first was a band for Rod Stewart. I had an agent, friends that became my agents at that time. And then, of course, once you get one job, I started shooting. I got MTV, the first show Making of a Supermodel. And that became a huge success. Where I would take a model and they want to know how they become supermodels. And they find a model in the college, then they bring her to me, I photograph her and give her a portfolio, and then she gets signed. And that went worldwide for so many years. And then I started working, I got Halle Berry.
Was that your first big name?
I think there was a lot of other names, because now you get Bradley Cooper, I shot him when he was a waiter, Denise Richards. There was a lot of names that were just beginning that I shot. Halle Berry's makeup artist was working with me at that time, and Halle kept saying, who's this photographer that loves women so much? It makes them so beautiful. Always my friend Fadil goes, I would love to work with him someday. She was famous, but not that all the way. And she called me, Halle loves your picture. She wants to shoot with you. I said, I would love to shoot her. They called me one day and said, we're coming to New York to do Revlon with Halle Berry. She wants to give you 4 hours. I got so excited. It was a Friday night. I went home, didn't go out. So I get nice and rested, and I got to work with her. And as I'm shooting her, I took an angle. She had this, I love her short hair, that long neck. Yeah. And I took an angle from the angle. So let me shoot something different. I said, look up Halle, look at the light, like the old movie stars days. Yeah. And I just, almost like knowing something was going to happen. I always feel like we're from the other side. There's other things that control us and help us. And I looked, and I took this angle. She was looking like this at the light, with this long neck from a long angle. She's like, I love working with you. I said, why? She goes, I love when you get excited. I want to give you more. We left, and then about 3 weeks later, they said, Halle wants to see all the pictures. I'm like, really, she cares? He goes, yes, that's why she shot with you. She chose 16 pictures. She said, she approved everything. You're allowed to use these 16 pictures. I get a phone call a week later. I said, Halle said, don't use the pictures. So why? She said, don't use them, because if this month goes well for her, she'll help you sell all the pictures. Well, she was filming, I don't know if it's Catwoman or James Bond in London, and she comes for the Oscars and she wins the Oscar. That's when you get those lucky moments in your life. She has no time to do any press pictures. When she won the Oscar, she has to fly back to London next morning. So she helped me sell all the pictures. I got People Magazine 50 Most Beautiful opening page, several page was mine.
That was
So that was a moment that, here's the most beautiful woman in the world and the Oscar winner. Yeah. And one door opened another door. Then, of course, started Tyra Banks' show, and I started then I got Miss Universe and became the official photographer for 96 countries. So at that time, my dad was passing. And I was in a studio and they called me, he's dying. A week before, I spent time with him. We always had a fight. We loved each other, but I was the youngest. I was the rebel. And in Albanian family, you have to respect the elderly, and you are the last to speak. Yeah. I was the changer. I always pushed him to change. And so I was not his favorite in the sense that I didn't obey him, and because I wanted to change. It was my time to spend time before, alone. And he never looked at me because I was sort of a disappointment to him. So he always looked straight at the wall and said, he didn't want to die without giving me the freedom. Yeah. He said, how is that business of yours? And the wall said, oh, Dad, I'm all over the billboards. I'm the only photographer in the world. Albanian. I have a studio in New York City. It's 5,000 square feet. My billboards everywhere. I'm sharing it's a success thing to be happy. He looked at me and said, it's a very interesting business of yours. The whole family, instead of helping you, they tried to stop you. But you never let go. I've always cried when I get this story. He goes, God will help you. Yeah. In this moment, I think I gave me that freedom. So right after that, the Albanians discovered me.
It was a liberating moment for you.
Yeah. And the Albanians discovered me, and it was a journalist named Amila Dumi. We are very good friends. And there was a Kosovar TV station, TV Victoria. And she was the Albanian, he was the Kosovar. They did the news. They discovered me, and they came up and they said, we're so proud of you. And I didn't speak Albanian that well. So I couldn't communicate in Albanian. Yeah. And I started sweating from being ashamed not to shame my family, because I want to make my family proud. And she translated for me in English, and we are still really good friends, because I never knew what Albanians really looked like except my own family and friends, because we didn't have that many Albanians. And I just remember I couldn't wait to do this and to help Albanians, because now I fulfilled myself.
You did.
I had nothing to give them. Now I can give them something to inspire them. So I remember being so proud and doing these interviews, and of course, then they start finding you, and Albania opened up, and I saw my parents cry for Albania every single day, for their homeland. So that pain went into my soul to be more curious about Albanians. Yeah. And I went in 1996 with my staff. I had hair and makeup artists. They were having, I was having Mr. Ropa for the first time. I said, I want to go help them so they can look good, because I have the staff too, because they didn't have any products, they didn't have anything. And I went there, and I went for the first time, and I remember seeing Mir Savini, the first sign in Albania, and started crying, because now I belong somewhere. And went in, and I couldn't wait. I was hugging everybody, like everyone. It was really the most amazing time.
I just want to go back for a second in that breakthrough moment to those listening that maybe haven't found their breakthrough yet. You, no matter what, everybody against you, your family against you, everything you went through, having that night shift, serving, you still did it. You still went after your dream. But so many people, they don't make it after their dream. They leave their dream behind. How did you not leave your dream behind? What message can we send to those listening?
I just think never giving up. I think you have to, believe in yourself, and you find something that you love. And there was always a little feed that gave me hope that I should keep going. And I did this in a lecture, in my school. I went back to the lecture with the students. I didn't have money for the bus. There were times I had money for lunch, all those things. And by talking about this and talking as I have today, which I shared something very personal that it still brings me to tears. I keep thinking I'm over it, but when you talk about it, it still comes back. And I remembered what Amila said to me after the interview. She said, so when was the most success you had? I said, well, actually now. She goes, you know why? You were creating anyway, but not with the full love of your father. So once he gave you that, okay, to go ahead and do it, you did it with full-heartedly. So never giving up. If you believe in it, you have to be realistic. If I want to be a supermodel, but I know I'm not a supermodel. I mean, you got to be realistic. Even with photography, once I knew it, I'm going to get this. I said, I'm going to do what I have to get this. So people have to be realistic what they want. It has to make some sense, but never give up. Just people, and all this people, like all my clients and people I talk to, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. For me, that moment I gave up, I guess I gave up that time, but the minute I felt the comfort, I picked up. And it feels like a drug addict. Either you go down, you die, or you come up. And that was my story. I went down and then I picked that up. It just somehow I was like, God, where was this before? Why didn't this come to me earlier? It wasn't my timing.
It wasn't your time.
It wasn't my timing.
And that moment of your father finally giving you that peace,
he gave
that
me because
opening.
we live for our families, and we live for their love, and we live for their acceptance. And I think, and to me, Albania has been my family, the whole Albania. If anyone knows, maybe all the pain that I saw in my family crying for Albania, it went to the love for the Albanians. My studio has been this place for all these years for every Albanian to showcase their work. I've shared everything with them, and I still do. And I feel like this year we went to my friend Vila here gave me a place by the water to stay when I went to Durs, and just to be there. And I went, and for the first time I fought so hard for Albania to see this moment in Albania, and I felt such pain and happiness at the same time, because once I saw the airport full of foreigners, I felt like, oh my God, maybe I'm not needed anymore. This is done. We achieved something that I tried so hard for so many years to bring celebrities to Albania so they can show the world that we're okay. Our country's okay, that people are okay. I had to bring Eliza Dushko, I had to bring all these. I did this documentary called Dear Albania, if you know.
Which we've seen.
And I remember going and just bringing different people so they can share the story, because maybe they don't believe me because I'm too close to the Albanians. But let an American themselves to see and let them tell their story. And with all the Ford models and all the Miss Albania, always brought foreigners, but now this year was the tourism. It was a record. So I felt sad and happy at the same time.
You yourself have brought a lot of fame to Albania. I want to talk a little bit about your growth. So let's talk about some of the faces and some of the ways that you've shot and the movement shots that you're so famous for.
In this lifetime, you meet certain people that you connect with. Carmen she's this lady in these photographs that you see here somewhere. She's 92 years old now. At age 60, I saw her in a Ford Models book. It was all young models, this older silver-haired woman. I'm like, oh my God, where does she come from? She looks like a tornado, this energy, I said, wow, I would love to shoot her. She's very special. And I did a test shoot. As a photographer, you do test shoots. In those days, beginning of your career, you do a lot of test work to build your portfolios. Got her. I was shocked. Like she had been famous, but then she wasn't working those years. And I got her, and when we finished shooting with her, I said, oh God, this woman is so special. God, please give me a respectful job someday so I can respect this woman with an important job. Long story short, I land a Rolex lifetime contract. I shot the owners, and they got a watch that would cost $85,000. They called me. They said, we have a new baby, want to give it to you, but how would you sell this watch? I said, $85,000. Very few young girls have money to buy that watch. I must find a beautiful older woman, someone that's well kept, thinks young, looks young, and is chic, and looks expensive, and she can afford it. And she came to mind, and I went to the owner. I said, I have an idea. So I have this amazing older woman, and he said, look, we adore you, we respect you, but we don't want to look old. We have this customer already. I said, she's not old, she's only 15 in her mind. I'm not going to shoot her like an old lady. She's going to be loose hair, Jean-Paul Gaultier. She's going to have the chicness about her. Who is she? I said, her name is Carmen de Lorefice. I said, we don't know that. So I pulled up a computer on Ford Models, and the wife recognized it. Oh, I love her. I said, whatever it costs, just let's see your idea. Like $10,000 to do a test with her. I said, Carmen, let's do this. I have no promises, but let's do the really nice test, see if they like it, and then we'll buy it. And then I said, I have the Albanian girl in my studio, Miss Albania, Eralda Ita. This is a beautiful girl, not so tall, but this Angie face. I said, my dream was how can I put the Albanian to empower them, to make them feel beautiful. And to get the contract with Rolex, you have to be the highest model in the world.
Yeah.
And I did a test with Eralda. And I gave all my love to her in the picture because it was from love, and created all the beauty I could from her. Well, I did the campaigns, and I went to the person that introduced me to them. And she got a bit jealous. She was older. She goes, you know what? I think you're going to lose this whole contract. No one wants to see an old lady. I said, don't ruin it for me, because I feel so special with this old lady. She's really unique. No, I said, but I have the young girl too. But yeah, but I don't know. So my daughter was 17 years old with her friends having dinner in a restaurant. And I said, Violet, I have a problem. I'm nervous. I have to do this campaign. I really trust her vision. And I said, here's the campaigns. And what do you think? She said, wow, Daddy, the Albanian girl is really beautiful. She goes, but the older woman's really cool looking. Go with her. If a young kid accepts an older woman, I said, that's my success right there, because it's going to be, if she's accepting it, the whole world's going to accept it. I went to see them, and they went, wow. They took the pictures. The wife went over. She opened Vogue magazine. It was Gisele Bündchen, the famous Brazilian model. And she said, I'm putting Carmen's picture next to her. I'm going to close the magazine. When I open the magazine, both of you speak to me. Where does the eye dominate? When you open, the world's going to open this magazine, where does the eye go? And she dominated. You always saw her, you never saw Gisele, because she was very unique. She said, that's your campaign. He said, that's it. I'm buying both campaigns. I'm buying the young girl, and I'm buying the older model. And they the campaigns hit the world. And 3 months later, he calls me and says, you were right on the money. The older woman sold a watch. 2008 is the highest year of Rolex. And with that, we're giving you a lifetime contract with Rolex. So I'm not a money person. I'm like a kid. To this day, I think, oh, money, okay, what, I go with passion. And I didn't even understand what that meant. It meant you could make millions of dollars. And they gave me over 200 campaigns, then all the number ones in the world, from Roger Federer, Michael Bublé, Diana Krall. I was on a plane every other day to Argentina, to Dubai, to China, shooting all the number one sports people in the world and number one artists in the world, from opera world and horses and golf and tennis. And it became, and then this is the time Albania was developing. So everything I made, I took to Albania and Kosovo. Everything I was running and taking 20 experts from US, hair, makeup, stylists, designer, photographers, bring them all to Albania, inspire the Albanians to design clothing and makeup and all this. So I was paying for everything else. I had this money, and I was using this, rotating this money for what was there for. And so happy to see today that Albania, Kosovo, is leading the way in the world of design, in music, in arts, and it has to do with inspiration, being inspiring people.
Yeah. Oh, and you've inspired a lot of people, including the fact that Carmen was one of the only models of that age group being billboards around the world.
In the age, it's till this day, and I'm doing a book, by the way, so the book should be done mid-February for Fashion Week. The book is a labor of love, 33 years together with one model, one muse, done every campaign, and she's the most loved, and she's in Guinness Book of Records, the oldest model living, and we are still working together. Just shot 3 covers of Bazaar, and this book means a lot. I'd love to respect people when they're living. I want to enjoy that. Once we die, we don't know where we go, but I think the moment, it's enjoying the moment. So, and then of course, right after that will be the Albanian book, which I'm working on, Albanian book with Emina Çamulaj.
How do you see photography? What is photography to you?
I use it to help humanity. I use it to help. It was never for me. I did the first campaigns for the war in Kosovo, and with Vanessa Redgrave, the actress. I remember 5 students coming to my studio right after this situation I got discovered from the Albanians, and they walked into my studio and said, Mr. Berisha, we are students from Kosovo at NYU, and we just received underground pictures of massacres of Kosovo, the massacre families, which still to this day I get emotional, where they killed hundreds and buried children, women with cut off stomachs. It was the most horrific thing I've ever seen. And they came to me and said, you're the only famous name we have, and we found out that you're Albanian. You have to help us to bring this image to the media. And I looked at that, and I looked at the pictures, and I said, you guys are in the wrong place. I don't know. I'm a fashion photographer. It's such a superficial business, nothing to do with humanity. It's luxurious, and I don't know how to help you. And he said, we have no other place to go. And that night, I said, take the photographs. He said, no, we have to leave them here. They left a box of photographs there. I went home, I talked to my mom. I said, because I didn't know the history as much. I said, these young students came to my studio and they're killing it and they're blocking so not the world doesn't see. And she said, it's true. They've been doing this for so long. They've been killing all the intellectuals first. They disappear at night, all the doctors, school teachers, lawyers. Are you able to help them? I said, how do I help them? He said, if you can do anything, do it. And I called the students and I said, listen, you have ruined my life. I'm not the same person. I was born there. I'm from Albania, but I was born in Kosovo. I said, and that could have been us. I said, I don't know what to do with you except that I saw the Chinese, I saw the Iranians in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral demonstrating the photographs of the massacres. I'm willing to pay for all these photographs, to blow them up. And you come and you write on the photographs, and we will hit the streets of New York. I'll go with my children, and we will go and we will beg for the American people to help us to save Kosovo. So we're ready. I started a movement, and it got bigger and bigger, and then we formed a Kosovo Relief Fund, and we started, and then I got Vanessa Redgrave to do a huge concert at St. John Divine and bring all the media from the world and show it on larger scale. And I never forget that woman, that amazing actress. Said she will help us. She was involved in Bosnia, and she came and she said, let's have a concert and we bring all the media, and took the photographs. And for 1 month we did the program together. And she came to me and she said, Fadil, I feel terrible saying this to you, but when I am inviting American people, artists to perform for Kosovo, they say, what do they look like? Are they dark Arabs, Muslims? She goes, there's nothing wrong to being Muslim. There's nothing wrong to being Arab. You're Europeans. They have no clue what you look like. You as a photographer, take a picture of a young girl, a teenage boy and a girl, and middle-aged couple, older couple, blow them up. I'll know how to deliver this message to the world. I will hold every photograph one by one without words until the last photograph. And they say, what is she doing? They look like gorgeous people. My daughter has blonde hair, blue eyes. She looks German, And on the last photo, she goes, these are the Kosovo Albanians. So, oh my God, that was like my daughter, my son, my grandmother, my mother, and their hearts went immediately to help us. And on that moment, I had invited 25 influential Albanians. I found out the person that did the I Love New York campaign was Albanian, Stan Dragari. Oh. And I invited him because I was involved with fashion. His wife was a supermodel. He came for me, and the next day he called me and said, kid, that was the most amazing thing any Albanian's ever done. We had Mandy Patinkin, Orja McDonald, all the big names performing for our Kosovo. And he said, I can't promise you, but do you have those photographs the students gave you? Send them to me. I sent the pictures to him. He freaked out. Oh my God, who are these butchers? He said, I will create the biggest campaign for you against genocide, but you must raise the money to run these campaigns. I said, I will. I had this energy. It was like, we will do it. Just do your job. He did the strongest campaigns, which I have those campaigns, and we raised money with the mosques, with the churches, to Boston, to Chicago, Michigan, New York, wherever the Albanians, we went every weekend, we raised money, and we ran those campaigns in New York Times, Washington Post, everywhere, until they got to the hand of Bill Clinton.
Wow.
Then we worked in the camps for 6 months. All the stories, bringing them stories back. In Albania, I was there until we stopped the war. So that, if I can say one thing about the photography, the question that took a very long way to answer for you, is that to use it, that for me, it was to use it for the right reason for those moments. And that's what I've done, is to show Albanian faces to the world so we can be accepted. And we have reached that point now.
You definitely left a huge imprint on every Albanian that's been in your studios and photographed here. And their stories have been shared around the world, and their faces seen just like the Rolex, having that beautiful girl, like you said.
I photographed every politician from Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia. And once I knew the image was important, especially to this country, God gives them their talent, but it was just, I always say with the Albanians, I just shine the gold. The gold that exists, I'm just there to shine it.
And I want you to talk a little bit about those that don't know your style of shooting and photography. You said that you're always moving and you're locked in. It's just you and them. What is that experience like of having somebody be in front of your lens?
I chose the most difficult photography, portrait. Portrait's the most in the world, I think, for me, because you have to bring emotions out of people. And to get it, for me to allow me inside you to get those emotions very hard. And so without an emotion, there's no picture. If you look at the war in Vietnam, that one little girl naked running, how much that image meant, that one image to save Vietnam. I see images in Kosovo, one old man with William Walker hugging, running. Those are such images that are so powerful. Carmen says, Fadil sees something in us we don't see in ourselves. My job is to really scan you up and down and watch you every move you make. And where your lips are, your eyes are moving, the eyes, and just snap that 1 second where you look really confident whatever you're doing. Whether it's sexy, whether it's classic, whether it's smiling, it has to look real. And it's about the trust and allowing you to do that, to allow you inside to get that photograph.
It's incredible. With 35 years of photography, what's happening in Fadil Berisha's photography in the moment as we're speaking?
I think artists, they die working. It's healed because, I always, that's another thing that find what you love to do. And it's cliche, but find what you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. It's having that passion, that energy. And of course, for me, it's about the human soul. I was told years ago from the president of this universe, they said, Fadil, reminds me of my trip to Morocco one time. I was photographing the people there. They took my camera, they broke it. They said, you're taking our soul away. He goes, and Fadil is the same way, but doesn't take your soul, it takes the most beautiful part of you and brings it out. I only want to see the good parts in the person. I don't want to see the sad. I want to see the best inside them and pull the best out of them. And that's what's in my soul, and that's what I want to pull out. And a lot of this time, these years, the heroin chic was in fashion for wherever I was like this, drugged out looks and all. And I had to do it because it was part of fashion, but I hated doing it because even when I did, they're too pretty, it didn't work. Because I would do it like this one, and she was like, it was always, I don't want to see life sad. I don't want to see life miserable. I want to see happy.
Fadil, as we close down the interview, to those artists listening or to those young men and women in Kosovo listening, what's your message to them through everything you've been through? What can they learn from hearing this if you had to put it in a few short sentences?
I think really, again, that finding their passion, finding their love, and believing in themselves. That, I thank God for this country that did not discriminate, and they said, oh, where are you from? Albania? And I never changed my name. I never changed. And thank God that I didn't, because so many doors have opened by me. Be yourself. Don't change for anybody. I said, I'm not going to change my name. My mother said, don't change the name. And that Albanian helped me so much because it opened so many doors for Albanians. I remember that this black model I was shooting, he said, Fadil, where are you from with that name? I said, I'm Albanian. Oh, there's a young man working at Sephora. He's 16 years old. He's Albanian. He's really talented. Can you help him? It was Mario. And I took Mario for 4 years. We trained him. And he became the superstar. I discovered Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner. And also did the first photographs for Justin Bieber's wife. And so I love finding people. I love building.
Yeah.
So they should never give up. When they find that thing that they love, they gotta stick to it. No matter what it takes, stick to it. It's suffering and all that going, but that's all worth it when it comes in the end.
Oh, it's definitely worth it. You had to say one photo shoot that's left an imprint in your heart. Maybe there isn't one, but I had to ask, is there one photo shoot that has been the most rewarding, that you keep going back to pull inspiration from?
I have one regret I didn't do, and I was supposed to shoot Mother Teresa. And I remember that she was in New York with Princess Diana. I said, no, I was young and stupid. I said, no, I don't want to shoot her. I want to go to Calcutta. I want to get her in her own environment to shoot her, and she died. Later, so I missed that. I think every shot has its, every model, they have their own, There's the difficult ones that you find it very challenging to shoot. Snoop Dogg was one of them that I had just photographed the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, when he was president. It was such great honor because not into shooting presidents, it's a different mentality, but that was asked to do it, and I said, I'm going to do it, and I thanked him in behalf of all the Albanians. And it was the most rewarding time. 2 weeks later, I had to shoot Snoop Dogg in his house. And it was one of the most difficult things because he was completely high, smoking joints, and I was like, what have I come to? You know, it got very hairy for the minute where we got to an argument because he was not allowing me to even introduce myself to him. He said, let's do this. And at one point we got into this. I was like, oh my God, I have to make this work. So my clients, Fadil, this is really a bad day. Please, I don't care what picture, just get a picture. He's having a bad day. He was filmed out of it. And he came out of the house with a big joint this big, smoking in the boombox. And then I was trying to, you have to become that person. And I remember, oh dear God, help me make this true, And there was no connection. And at one point, I was by his garage. He wouldn't let you talk to him. And I was like, okay, let me do it. So finally he goes to me. Man, my shoots last 20 minutes. We've been here for hours, And there was a really bad picture of him in the wall with the hair eating Cheerios, but it was hashish or pot, or I don't know what it was. I said, and that's why you look like that. And he went like this, and the bodyguards grabbed me and goes, don't piss him off. He's going to throw you out of here. I said, you know what? I don't give a shit. I said, I can't. This guy, we come over from New York. I had a little attitude because I just shot the president and say something like that. So I said, what is this guy? He won't even look at us. And then we came over for him. We've been here since 8 in the morning. It's 12 o'clock. He doesn't come down here. Then he comes down, he smokes a joint. What am I supposed to do? So, and I was ready to cry. I was right. And he looked at me like this. Well, then shoot, man. I said, okay. And I was shooting feet. I don't know. I was that angry going. And all of a sudden, the wife had to go with the kids to change, and just me and him alone. And I said, my God, I have to make this work somehow. We're both quiet. We're sitting like this. It's my chance to get him to trust me, just to know. And I said, he had cars everywhere, like old antique cars. And I said, let's talk about cars. So I go, Snoop, I said, let me see if he responds. What kind of car is that? That's a 37 Accord. I said, wow, what a great car. I said, that old mafia cars, the gangster cars. He goes, yeah, I just got that. I said, oh my God. I said, but it'd be amazing to shoot in that car like a gangster. And he goes, yeah, I can make that happen. I said, oh shit, I found it. So he said, so what am I to put on? I said, whatever you want. He came out like a gangster with a hat and the chains. He sat one foot in his crotch, one in the joint. And I said, oh my God, you look so beautiful. He's like, yeah, man, you're okay. Take your time. And I felt like I saw God, I got this picture, most amazing picture. So these moments, you just have to make them work. I always say that was difficult, but it ended up being a great success story. And also, he's a great person. It's just that the image he had, he has to portray that image to the followers, But he's Russian. He's married his high school sweetheart. And I worked with Martha Stewart for the last 33 years. He's working with her. So it shows that he's a smart, good business person.
Oh, what a great story to end it with. Well, I think that to everyone listening, they definitely got a little snapshot into your life. And they definitely have a deeper understanding of what it took to really become the man that you have become to not only Albanians, but to people around the world. So I really feel honored that you allowed the Rootless community to get this interview and get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. And lots of luck to you, and wish you the best.